On Saturday, October 4th, my youngest, my daughter, who is 19, and I went to Nashville to run in a Spartan race, a Spartan event. We did what they call the sprint, which is 5 kilometers with 20 different obstacles. This is our second race that we've done this year, the first Spartan. We're going to be doing another one soon. We have another race, a 10K at the end of this month, but we did a 10K a couple months ago in a nearby town. And this is just something that we've started to do. I started running regularly. I get up early enough and run in the mornings. I started doing that just a couple years ago, and it's something that my daughter has just started this year, is doing some training, some running. And we have reasons why we do that. This is also other things that we do, other exercise, weightlifting, working out sort of exercise to increase strength, to increase endurance. There's the cardio aspect. And these are things that we continue to implement and continue to do, and to exercise just the discipline of every day doing that. And actually, I find a verse, at least one verse in the Bible that references this kind of activity. But when I looked at it when I was younger, when I heard this verse and I heard it used in order to minimize the importance or the profitability of physical exercise. And I'm going to look at it, and this is in 1 Timothy, and it's chapter 4, and specifically verse 8. But I want us to back up and read the verse before. But we're going to look at 1 Timothy 4:8. But in verse 7, the Apostle Paul is talking to Timothy, and he says, "But reject profane and old wives' fables." These are just stories that people tell in their view of things. We want to cling to the truth. And then he goes on, "And exercise yourself toward godliness." And this exercise in the Greek is the same word for like gymnasium. This is athletic sort of thing. This is truly exercise, working out, and even competitions and training programs that are part of that. And he says you exercise yourself toward godliness. Because then in verse 8 he says, because bodily exercise, physical bodily exercise, working out, running, lifting weights, doing these different things, this, he says, profits a little. But godliness is profitable for all things, having promise of the life that now is and of that which is to come. Now, the traditional way that I would hear this spoken of was, well, bodily, physical exercise, it's not that valuable. It only profits a little. But truly exercising and working toward godliness, that's what's really the important. And Paul is saying that godliness, exercising toward godliness, that you exercise discipline and you apply yourself toward that, is the most profitable. But I want you to look at some of the words in this verse 8. He's talking about bodily exercise, which actually means bodily exercise, which includes those things that I've said. And he says it profits a little. It is advantageous. And that word for a little isn't just, and he is comparing it to working toward and growing in godliness, but he says it profits for a little while, a short period of duration of time. It's limited. It's limited to your physical existence. That's what it profits for. But exercise toward godliness, which includes applying yourself, working hard, putting off, putting on, changing the way you think. He says this profits more than just physically. This profits throughout time, the time that is now and that is to come. So one of the ways you can look at this, and you could argue, he's saying, oh, it doesn't really matter if you exercise or not. But I don't think he's arguing that. In fact, Paul uses allusions to running races, to competition in other places. And we see that in Hebrews about running the race set before you. All of these things include certain concepts and ideas of preparedness, of development of oneself. And this applies, the parallel, the type that it applies to godliness and righteousness, growing in that. So he's not saying bodily exercise isn't important. He says it is less shorter duration, because that's going to impact you now. But it is something that is connected to your exercising and growing in godliness. It is the same discipline to get up at early in the morning or whenever it is to go and to make yourself do this exercise, to run 3, 4, 5 miles that you don't feel like doing. It's the same discipline, the same self-control, the same strength of mind and even sometimes body that it takes to do spiritual disciplines, spiritual growing in godliness, developing and growing in this relationship and oneness and communion with God. And I encourage everybody that you should have some sort of physical bodily exercise, because the parallels and the type that it is very valuable. The discipline required is the same discipline as exercising unto godliness.